it's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tips of the day. And today we are going to get this hot mess of an area ready for fall. Nights are cooler, days are shorter, plants are waking up from dormancy. So I'm going to talk with you and show you things that you need to do to get your garden ready. First of all, let's just get rid of anything unwanted, right? I mean, I've been looking at this Ruchia here for all summer, and it's leggy and ugly, and I'm over it. So yes, could I cut this back hard? I could, but then it would look ugly for a couple more months, and it's just not that important to me. So I'm going to just yank this plant on out. Might I put in a new Ruchia at some point? I might, but this is pretty typical behavior for this plant as it ages, and I'm just not feeling it. So we're just going to get rid of that. Oh, it already looks better. And look what I found. I found my ant. I forgot this was even here. Okay, so that plant I knew I didn't want. And when you pull your plants out, remember anytime, well really anytime you're in the garden, look, especially now that we're entering fall, look for pests, look for diseases. I see some ants here. And ants are vectors for all kinds of things. Aphids, mealybugs, scale, pretty much you name it. Right now, I am not seeing any evidence of pests on my plants. But if you do see those things, you can absolutely treat them organically with a little neem oil or some insecticidal soap. Keep an eye on it and just really work to get those bugs off your plants. Because a lot of times in the summer, they kind of set up housekeeping in our plants. See, I'm already liking this better, right? Another thing that you're going to want to do is pull out plants that may have gotten leggy over the summer. We don't want to deal with these plants in the summer because in summer it's hot and they go dormant. So if we start working with these plants as cuttings, they can easily stress out too much and die. So now though that it's cooler, we can absolutely do it. So I'm going to yank out these beautiful Sediverias. Ooh, and I got Echeveria in the mix too. Don't be shy, guys. Just pull your stuff out. Oh, God, I've been waiting so long to do this. This is so exciting. Ugh. Honestly, you know, you get to looking at this stuff every day and you start to lose your memory of what it's even supposed to look like. I'm going to pull out these sedum, too, that have gotten really leggy. Now, a lot of these plants, I'm going to cut and reset. So don't despair. That brings us also to this aloe blue elf. Now, aloes, this particular aloe, you know, goes dormant hard in the summer. But again, now that we're working our way into fall, it's going to start waking up. So I have to make a decision. Do I want to leave this plant in its location or do I want to move it somewhere else? You know, I've got a theme going here of, you know, this coral reef vibe. So I like the idea of the plants being packed kind of close together. This does not offend me in the least. For those of you that may be a little newer to the channel, this is my garden in my backyard, and it's been in the ground now for a couple of years. So these plants haven't been here that long, but they are growing and they are morphing and they are changing. And it's absolutely fine at the right time of the year, like in the fall and in the spring, to pull stuff out and move it around if you want. You know, and sometimes you don't know till you get in there, huh? So as I'm babbling to you right now, I'm deciding, do I want to move this or do I want to leave it? I'm also looking to see if it's got any scale or mealybug or anything gross. I don't see anything, which is great. I'm cleaning up all of the detritus. This is another way, you know, that you can know your plants are dormant, is if they start dropping a lot of leaves. That can be an indication in the summer months that your plants are going night-night. So we want to clean all of that up after the long summer, all this old leaves. Because pests can also find homes in that detritus. So we can get all that out of there. I have some really cute shelves, you guys, that I totally forgot about too, that I had staged in here when the garden was a baby 2 years ago. So I can restage those. So how's it looking so far, right? I mean, look at that. Already 100% better, isn't it? Let's keep going, though. Here we have some Echeveria. Ooh, slag glass. I got a couple of really pretty pieces of slag glass here. they were completely hidden. How fun. You know, it's probably top 5 of the things I like best about working with succulents is how easy they are to manipulate. You just have to wait for the right season. This is not a behavior or something that I would want to do in the hottest part of the summer. This is something you want to wait until fall when it's cooler and the plants are just like, oh, okay, yes. Then you can kind of beat the crap out of them and they really don't care. Now see, this is a perfect example. I could spend the next 5 minutes cleaning off all of this and blah, blah, blah. Or I could just take my clippers and cut it a lot faster, right? And there's a few little air roots on this plant right now, but I'm not worried about roots. I know it's going to reroot. I'm going to plant it back in dry soil. If you are expecting rain in the week or so after you cut and reset your garden, you're going to want to wait until these cuts harden off before you stick them back in the ground. In other words, this cut needs to callus. Then you can put it in the ground, and if you get some rain, it should be fine. We just don't want a lot of moisture to get into that fresh wound because that can cause rot. But here in San Diego, we probably won't have rain until December, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, fun, right? Look at this. This is the best time you will have today, I promise. Ugh, so rewarding. Cleaning up all this crap. Still looking for bugs. Still not seeing any, so that's good. Okay. You know, you may be surprised. You know, you might have the intention that you're going to put all these plants back, but then after you get to cleaning up and moving stuff around, you realize, gosh, I kind of like the way it looks without all those plants. And there's no wrong answer, do you? Okay, so this Aloe distans is also bugging me. It's rangy. I'm just not loving it. I like this plant a little shorter. So I'm going to cut this off right about here. Okay, perfect cut. See, it's just got a little bit of stem right there that I can stick in the ground. And remember, if your succulent stands up, you've done your job. So that should give it just enough room to rest beautifully in the soil. Also, aloes, you know, are very susceptible to aloe mite, which is basically a cancer that can affect the plant with little bumps and lumps. So check your plants for aloe mite. I don't see any evidence of mite, so that's good. But I do treat my plants systemically too in the spring and later in the fall to ward against that. So I don't usually get a whole lot of that in my garden. Okay, look at all of these cute pieces that I have now. Now, could you leave this aloe just like that in your garden? You absolutely could. What would happen is it would start branching out from beneath the cuts. You'd start to get new rosettes, and it would reform and reshape. But I don't want to wait for that. It's a hot mess. It's kind of ugly right now. So this part I'm just going to take out and throw away. Aloes also have very aggressive root systems. So I'm going to trim the roots this way so I don't tear up the entire area. Okay. I'm going to trim those back. I affectionately refer to this too as going down a rabbit hole because every plant that you pull, it shows more of a mess, doesn't it? Look at that. So now what I've got is some more of the Setiveria leggy stuff. I yank that out. This has got some really nice rosettes though that I can trim off and reset, so that's exciting. 2 years ago I planted that as a cute little 1-gallon plant. It's about this big, and it just went nuts, a little too nuts. Okay, now this Harmsii, this Echeveria Harmsii, is still working on its bloom. It still hasn't completely bloomed out yet. And it's really pretty. So I think I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to mess with the Harmsii right now. Okay. A little more detritus here. Now you could absolutely, if you wanted to, at this point, once you've decided, okay, I'm going to let these plants stay, you could also add a little more soil if you were so inclined. If you wanted to create some mounds, if your mounds had sunk down over the summertime. I'm not going to worry about that, but you could. This would be the time to do it. Yeah, this was just all, you know, dormancy from the summer, all those spent leaves, which I can now pull off. That helps me determine too if I want to cut and reset the plant, if it's looking leggy, which this one really isn't. From your perspective, looking straight on, this looks really good. From my perspective, looking down on it, not so much. But here's the fix for that. I am going to take these big, beautiful aloe distans and take my handy dandy multi-tool here, carve out a little hole, and I'm going to stick that distans right there. And what I have effectively done now is covered up a lot of the legginess that was on this plant and bought myself some more time before I have to cut and reset. Now I get to look at all of these wonderful plants that I pulled out and decide what I'm going to put back in the space, how I'm going to design it this season. Do I want to do the same thing I did 2 years ago? Do I want to do something different? What am I thinking? Because, you know, these plants have grown, obviously, over the last couple years. And aesthetically, things have changed, haven't they? This Crassula undulata is a lot bigger. The blue elf are making more of a statement. The Harmsii, you know, is kind of tall. So I'm gonna do something new. I really, really like these Echeveria. I'm gonna pull all this crap off of it. And you can see, you know, all of these air roots here. And that tells you that the plant is highly viable and still working, doing its job. But I don't want to have to deal with all of this. So I'm going to trim this off right here. I'm going to trim this off right here, and I'm going to trim this off right here. Now I have a much smaller plant to work with and a much smaller hole to dig. So I have these beautiful, beautiful Echies. They're a little wilted right now because, you know, like I told you, they're just waking up. It was a hot summer and they're just starting to wake up. So they're going to be really perky. They're going to reroot. They're going to start all over again. And this is like putting candles on a birthday cake. It's so much fun. You're just going to tuck these plants in wherever you see fit. And they're going to reroot and just carry on. I promise. Okay, here's another little one. I don't want it to be separated from the herd, so I'll stick it right there. Okay, then, you know, after you do things, step back, take a look, see, check out your handiwork. See what, if anything, more you want to do plant-wise. I think I want to take some of these guys. Same thing. Look, I mean, leggy AF, right? So I'm going to take and cut some of these pretty rosettes off of all this legginess. And I'm going to pop these in. I like the idea of them going right here underneath this blue elf. See that? How cute is that? And another thing that your succulents did when they were dormant is they got a little dull. They lost a lot of their color. This plant is really, really pink when it's, you know, fully awakened. So this is going to turn pink, and these blue elf are going to turn more of a mauve, and it's going to be something to behold probably in another 30 days. All right. What do you think? I'm liking it. I'm so excited about all my little shells. I think I'm going to pull these out because I'm going to throw down a little more fresh top dressing because, you know, I don't like to look at dirt. And then I can pop these shells back on top. Okay. All right. Now, do we have enough plants? No, never. We never have enough plants, do we? So I'm going to add some of these little sedum. These are Adolphi, and this one will turn really, really orange when it wakes up. So again, I'm just going to cut off the pretty parts, and I'm choosing some of the bigger pieces that are going to make more of an impact visually. Ooh, that's nice. Cut that whole thing. See that? Look there. Right? You don't necessarily have to just cut the little top parts. You know, if you have a little bouquet you can work with, go for it. Okay. All right. Now, where to put them? I kind of want to bridge the gap here. So let's stick them in here. And I thought I might have seen some mealybug or some evidence of some sort of pest, but I don't, and it isn't. But if you did see some aphids or some mealies or something sticky or gross on your plant, you can dunk this in some insecticidal soap, or you can spray it and remove all those insects before you put it back in your garden. Simply dunking a plant in some insecticidal soap or some oil, even though it's a cutting, it's not going to hurt a thing. So don't be afraid to do that if you think that would be a better option than just spraying or misting it with the solution, which is also fine too if you want. But if you have a real infestation, it's better just to dunk it. Okay. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. All right. And I'm also so tickled that I uncovered my beautiful pieces of slag glass here. Those are so pretty. And they were completely buried. Now, we have identified plants that we don't want, which was that Ruchia. That's not going back in. I'm just going to get rid of that. Then we identified plants that we want to cut back and reset. We looked for pests and diseases. Didn't see any. Cleaned up all or most of the detritus. And now it's time for the fun part. Now it's time to touch up with top dressing. So this, what I have down here right now is chamois beige, 3/8. And I'm gonna just tuck some more of that in. Remember when you're applying top dressing to lift the skirts of your plants and push the dirt underneath. We do not want to see any dirt showing. You also probably noticed that I've got some little Mexican beach pebble in here too. So you don't have to have just one type of rock, guys, especially if you're working with a little coral reef like I am here. So I'm gonna let that little area of Mexican beach ride. I think that looks really pretty. Throw my chamois beige in here. Look how finished that looks. We'll roll some back up here around that Harmsii. And now there's just one more thing that's bugging me a little bit here. I feel like there's too much of a gap. So let's take those other pieces of aloe distans and tuck those in right here. You know, it's so fun to work on the fly too. And because you're working with cuttings, you know, you're not married to it. It's just mess around. And, you know, if you don't like what you've done, pull it out and start over. You can do that. It's no big deal. Keep working on it until you get it right. And by right, I mean until you like it. Okay. I just feel like this is so opened up now, and this area can breathe. And I feel really good about my decision to not cut this back and to leave that row alone, leave my Hermsii alone, leave my blue elf alone. Now I can put my little shells back. And in a couple of weeks, because, you know, we're in fall and the plants are waking up, I think it'll be safe to give this a little sprinkle of water in a couple weeks. We want to give those cuttings a chance to harden over and to throw off new little roots before we throw water on them. For those of you that are newer to the channel, well, first of all, for those of you that have been around for a while, thank you. Thank you for your loyalty and sticking with. And for those of you that are newer and enjoyed this video, please like, please subscribe, please share, turn on the notification bell so that you can be apprised of all of our videos. We do this type of thing, what we call the succulent tip. We also have full installations of really, really exciting, beautiful cactus and succulent projects. We also do seasonal maintenance. We go on garden tours and we check out other people's gardens and basically just geek out on any and all things cactus and succulent. So thank you so much for joining me today. Please come back and see me again. Happy fall, y'all.